Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for the Understanding the Process of Transitional A Certifications for CTE Teachers webinar. My name is Amy Cox. I am the Director of Career and Technical Education here at the New York State Education Department. I'm joined today by my co-presenters, Jennifer Pendleton, who is the Director of the Office of Teaching Initiatives, Brittany Kitterman, who is one of our associates in the Office of CTE, and her colleague Louise Begando in the Office of CTE. Today's seminar is about the Transitional A certification and looking at different types of certification. Just a couple of notes. This is not about the work-based learning extension. This webinar will be archived at the CTE TAC website, which we will share at the end of the meeting. And we did review questions submitted in advance. We hope that some of them are answered by the webinar, but we do want to let you know that there will be a Q&A that we will post and make participants aware of at the time we post it. Without any more ado, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Brittany Kitterman.
All right, thank you. All right, well, thank you for joining us today. So I'm just going to go over some of the introductory things when it comes to certification. When it comes to the delivery of technical subjects in a NICE and approved CTE program, all CTE coursework in the program must be taught by a faculty with appropriate New York State certification in the program's career cluster area. There are two different types of certification areas of interest that teachers may have, which would qualify them to teach in the technical subject matter of an approved program. They are the classroom certification and the CTE certification. So I'm very much a visual learner. I wanted to put together a little bit of a visual graphic to talk more about what these different certificate areas are. So the first type of certification we're going to review are the classroom certificates. Classroom certificates are available in the areas of agriculture, business and marketing, family and consumer sciences, technology education, and computer science. In order to obtain a classroom teaching title, an individual will generally complete an approved teacher preparation program in the subject area or its equivalent. Certifications identified as classroom teacher enable the certificate holder to teach the broad range of content that is identified within that certification area. An example of this is an educator certified in technology education. They're appropriately certified to teach content in automotive, materials processing, manufacturing, STEM, etc. The second type of certification that a faculty member in an approved program may hold is a CTE certificate. A CTE certificate is available in various content areas and are designed for individuals with significant industry experience in a specific career area. This title allows the individual to teach a specific career and technical education subject area in grades 7 through 12. For a list of career and technical teacher certificate titles and their descriptions, please visit the OTI CTE Experience Requirements by Title page webpage. We will be making all of these links that I reference and others reference in this presentation today available on a very easy to navigate document. So if you're not able to navigate to that webpage right now, not a big deal. You'll have that resource after this. But for an example of a CTE certificate title, an educator certified in vehicle mechanical repair is appropriately certified to teach content relating to the repair of vehicles. This educator is not appropriately certified to deliver instruction in courses other than vehicle repair. So a vehicle mechanical certified person would not be providing manufacturing instruction, for example. So let's do a side-by-side comparison of classroom and CTE certification to identify the major differences between the two. The first difference between these two types of certifications can be found in the content areas that are available for the certification type. Classroom certification can be issued in the 5 content areas of agriculture, business and marketing, family and consumer science, technology education, and computer science. The CTE certification is available in 80 different content areas, such as welding, barbering, cybersecurity, and vehicle mechanical repair. As you can see, the specificity of content or lack thereof is one of the distinguishing differences between a classroom and CTE teaching certificate. The second difference between these two certificate types can be found in the experience required to obtain certification. As the content covered under a classroom certification tends to be more broad in scope, obtaining a classroom certification typically requires the faculty member to have completed an approved teacher preparation program. The CTE certification, on the other hand, is designed for professionals that have worked in industry and are looking to share their experience and expertise as a teacher. Therefore, the experience requirements to obtain a CTE certification include significant industry experience in a specific career area. The third difference between these two certificate types exists in the courses that the certificate holder can teach. As the classroom certificate requires the completion of an approved teacher preparation program, the courses that a faculty member holding the certification type can teach are broad. As the CTE certification is issued for a specific career area and is designed for faculty that have specific expertise, the courses that can be taught by faculty with a CTE certification are more specific. As seen in our previously discussed examples, the faculty with a technology education classroom certification can teach coursework in multiple career areas. The faculty with the CTE certification in vehicle mechanical repair can only teach coursework relating to vehicle mechanical repair. The only exception to this would be the career and financial management course, which will be discussed in other resources that are available on our website. To find specific requirements to obtain either a classroom or CTE certification, please use the Office of Teaching Initiative Certification Lookup Tool, another resource we'll have available for you on our resource page. If you have questions about what certification is required to teach specific courses, please reach out to your district's data manager, as they have access to the certification to course crosswalk that is located in the district's data portal. So that is a resource that does exist out there. One other thing that I'd like to just touch base on before I hand things off to Jen here are vendor certifications. Vendor certifications are certifications obtained through vendors, and they're a great way to obtain professional development and additional credentials. However, certifications issued by vendors are not recognized as New York State teacher certification. Program faculty must hold the appropriate New York State classroom or CTE certificate to teach CTE coursework. Some examples of vendor certification include Project Lead the Way, Cisco, Adobe Certified Associate, and there's many, many more. So now let's look at some examples of how vendor certifications can be applicable in practice. In our first example, a program faculty member certified as a New York State technology education teacher and holds a Project Lead the Way engineering certification. This faculty member would be appropriately certified to teach in a CTE engineering program. And that's because they have that classroom certification of technology education. In our second example, a program faculty member certified as a New York State physics teacher and holds a PLTW engineering certification. This example, the faculty member would actually not be appropriately certified to teach in a CTE engineering program. And we're talking about a NYSET approved CTE program. And this is because in NYSET approved CTE programs, all faculty must be CTE certified, and technology education falls under that umbrella, while physics does not. In our third and final example, an individual holds only a PLTW certification and is not a New York State certified teacher. In this example, not only is this individual not appropriately certified to teach in an approved CTE engineering program, they would also not be appropriately certified to teach in a New York State public school or BOCES. And this is because they don't hold a New York State teaching certification. If questions exist about the appropriateness of faculty in NYSET approved CTE programs, please contact the Office of Career and Technical Education prior to submitting your program for approval or reapproval, and we'd be happy to discuss those things with you. So now that we have a basic understanding of the two different types of areas of interest, CTE and classroom certification, that we can work with here in CTE, I'm going to pass it off to Jen, and she's going to get into the specific type of certification that one might apply for.
Thanks, Brittany. Hi, everyone. Brittany has already touched on some of this, but we're going to do kind of a walkthrough on how you can use these resources on your own. So the two most common certification types for new hires in CTE, first is the initial certification. This is primarily for candidates who have completed a CTE teacher preparation program. They hold a hold a bachelor's degree, or already hold a teaching certificate in another classroom title. And we're going to show you how to kind of look for that. The other and most popular entry into CTE teaching is the Transitional A. So this is primarily for applicants who have less pedagogy coursework and more industry-related credentials or experience. So Brittany, if you could click on Search Certification Requirements. This is found on our OTI webpage. So this is our home landing page. Search Certification Requirements is up here in the left-hand corner, and it brings you to this series of drop-down menus. So we're going to walk through this together. So you're going to select your area of interest. You're going to click Career and Technical Teacher. And you're going to choose your subject area. So all of these are considered subject areas. For our example, we're going to stick with agriculture, food, and natural resources. The grade level is always going to be adolescent 7 through 12, but you have to click it anyway because Teach needs that kind of guidance. For our example, we're going to choose natural resources and ecology 7 through 12. And then when we go to the type of certificate, it gives you all of these options. If you're just starting out, I recommend looking at just initial certificate or just transitional A. So we're going to look at initial certificate first, and then click search, and it'll bring a long list of potential options. Each of these options may look really similar, but there are small differences that I encourage you to click and look through to choose what best option fits you. So each of the blue bullets is a clickable link that you can get more information about that particular requirement. These are all requirements for that particular option. And you'll notice as we scroll through that the pedagogical core of 9 credits is required, 40 days of student teaching is required in that title. But we mentioned before option I. So if you are if you hold a 7 through 12 classroom teaching certificate, meaning you're certified in English 7 through 12, and you also have work experience, two years of satisfactory work experience in that CTE title, this might be a pathway for you. So you don't have to start over fresh with your pedagogy. It kind of rolls over into this. So yes, I encourage you to look through things, look at them honestly with your work experience, and think about which one applies best to you. Not all of these options are available to every single certificate type. So you may see something like, I don't know if you saw it at the bottom, nationally board certified, right? There is not a national board certification for natural resources and ecology 7 through 12. It's unfortunate, but we have to list it anyway because it's part of the regulation. So not all of these are necessarily available for all certificate types. Okay, Brittany, you want to go up to Transitional A? We can walk through that. So this is a little different. And again, there are many, many options, but you, again, have to look through it and kind of match up what you have in your life to what's listed there. Some of them require associate's degrees. Some of them only require high school diplomas, industry-related credentials. So like, just you have to kind of just keep looking through it and clicking on the drop downs to compare what you have going on in your situation. And of course, the 7 through 12 additional teaching certificate applies there too. Okay. So this kind of just shows that again. And then resources, we get asked a lot, like, how do I know if my experience is going to be accepted? How do I know if my industry related credential is applicable? The first step is to take advantage of the career and tech ed certification landing page. This is the front page for all of your CTE needs. Super helpful video that kind of goes over a lot of what you're seeing now, but kind of reiterates that. But then the career and tech certificate applicants options there. It gives you all of the titles, what kind of certificates you can get. Let's click on experience descriptions first, Brittany. So if you're wondering about your personal experience, you can, let's stick with that. Click on, I think maybe because it's right there. Yep. So if I'm looking at a particular title, I go to the bullet on the cluster and look at what the experience is required, right? It's not all encompassing. There could be other things, but there are definitely pieces of this that are required. Like, we're looking for those when we look at your experience verification forms. We want to see that you've done the things that ultimately you're going to be teaching, right, as a CTE teacher. So when you think about filling out the verification of experience forms, make sure that you are really hitting those components of what you're going to be teaching. So each of the subcategories and specific CTE certificates have these experience blurbs. And while we're in here, nope, you can go back. Sorry. Let's hit on the industry-related credentials. So there are certain titles that you can get through industry-related credentials. Again, this list is not all-encompassing. If you have questions about whether or not your industry-related credential would apply to this, that is a question that you would send to our office, and we would research it and get back to you. And you're going to have all of those links and information in a minute. But I just wanted to show you this is ever evolving and growing, right? But we need to, this is our starting point. So yeah.
Jen?
Yes.
Before we move on, we have a quick question. If we could go over the form and pull that up to be able to show everyone what needs to be filled out by the employer.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Brittany, if you can.
Yep.
Just direct me back to that form.
Yep. Go back to the landing page. Yep. Scroll down and click on occupational work. Yep. So this form is crucial to your application. and having it filled out properly is also crucial to your application. So your verification of experience has to be submitted by your employer or former employer. It cannot be submitted by you. We will not accept it. Can you scroll down? Please make sure that you have all of your personal identifying information on it. There are a lot of the same people with the same names, so all of that is really important. And then having the name of the employer, the address, and the position held with employer. So what did you do there? What was your title? We are looking for total number of days that you worked. So Brittany, can you scroll back up for a second? I know I'm kind of all over the place. So the employer has to fill it out. They have to submit it. I shouldn't have jumped up, right? So we're looking for full-time experience or full-time day experience equivalents. The date range that you worked and the number of days that you worked there. So we doubt highly that if you worked from 2021 to 2022, that you worked 365 days, right? Weekends. You probably did not work on the weekends, or maybe you only worked on the weekends. You have to really be careful with your math. And then the part-time, if you worked from this day to this day, we have to come up with the full-time equivalents. So making sure that you have the math accurate and the date range accurate. And if you can scroll down for me. Then this is where we talked about the experience description. So what did you do while you were there? Utilizing our website in terms of those blurbs around what experience is required that you're going to be ultimately teaching as a CTE teacher. Those things need to be on this sheet. And as well as any other duties. But the more complete picture that we have here, the less back and forth and questions we have later on down the road when we go to review your application. Can you scroll down for me, please? And then making sure that your employer fills this out completely and gives the most up-to-date phone number and email so that if we have to reach out for more information, we can. Okay. All right. So this is an amazing, amazing decision tree that can help you kind of think through where to start and where you have to go. So ultimately, what will need to happen is if you plan to continue to teach for any extended period of time, you're going to go through what's called certificate progression. You want to move your Transitional A certificate to an initial certificate to a professional certificate. So you have to keep meeting those benchmarks. So if you have an initial certificate, the next question is, do you have a master's degree? And if you have a master's degree, do you have 3 years of teaching experience within the 5 years you held your initial? So that's really important too, right? You have to have all of your experience under a valid initial certificate in order to get your professional certificate. If you don't have an initial certification, then do you have a Transitional A? And if you don't, then that's where you start. Or if you do have a Transitional A, during that time that you are working under the Transitional A, the intent is transition, right? You're transitioning from being outside of the education world to going inside. So during that time, you should be taking your 9 credits of pedagogical core. You're obviously getting the work experience or your teaching experience while you're working in a district or BOCES. So that would count towards your student teaching requirement. And then you should apply for your initial certification as soon as you have met the 9 pedagogical core credits and have that teaching under your belt. And then you move into the professional certification. And I'm going to hand it over to Louise now.
Thank you, Jen. So I'll be addressing some nuances associated with health sciences programs because we all know they're so fun. So for the health sciences, laws and regulations govern health science program content and delivery. Therefore, program curricular content is not interchangeable within the CTE health science program titles. And that's in order to prevent scope of practice or law and regulation violations. Some of the NISED CTE health science programs require approval to operate, and that will be prior to student enrollment and prior to NISED CTE program approval. So all health science CTE programs are required to deliver instruction within the applicable laws for their specific programs, but here are the 5 health science programs which require prior approval to operate, and they are listed along with their respective departments who are responsible for providing the approval to operate. So here's the one that we seem to have most confusion around. So I'm going to spend a little more time on the nurse aid programs of study. Nurse aid training program regulations require very specific work experience for instructors. The instructor must be an RN with 2 years of RN experience, one of those years of which must be as an RN working in a nursing home, caring for the elderly and or chronically ill. Additionally, secondary level CTE program instructors must obtain and hold the appropriate teacher certification for the content delivered. For nurse assisting or nurse aid training programs, the teacher must obtain the CTE Nurses Assisting 7 through 12 teacher certificate. For certification, classroom teaching is not considered occupational work experience. An experience gained as a teacher with students in the clinical setting will not be counted toward occupational work experience. Some districts have guided their new nurse aid instructors to seek practical nursing certification. These teachers are then unable to advance in the certification pathway because they are actually delivering instruction in a nurse aid program and not the practical nursing program, and are therefore unable to provide the required classroom teaching experience to achieve their next level of certification. The only time a secondary level teacher should be directed to obtain the practical nursing 7 through 12 teacher certification title is if the school has a secondary level practical nursing program the teacher will be delivering instruction for. Information for the NISED CTE nurse aid program delivery requirements may be located on the NISED CTE Health Sciences website, and links for this and for the NISED OTI experience by title requirements are provided in the developed resource document, which Brittany already addressed. For health sciences, the law, public safety, corrections, and security are 2 very separate and distinct career clusters with unique requirements and curricular content. Firefighting and emergency disaster management fall under the career cluster of law, public safety, corrections, and security. While there is overlap of services at an emergency scene, such as at a car accident or a building fire, the skills performed by an EMT would differ than those of a firefighter. For example, a firefighter may use the jaws of life to perform extraction of a person from a vehicle, while an EMT at the scene may be applying a neck collar and backboarding the patient for medical stabilization. The content found in the law, public safety, corrections, and security programs of study cannot overlap into the health sciences programs of study. Next, Jen will share about additional resources and certification considerations.
I just want to circle back to some things I saw in the chat. For those of you who are self-employed, if you go to the work experience or occupational experience verification form, there's a section that says instructions for verification of self-employed work experience. It's there are two options that you can do to submit those. Oh, you didn't have to, Brittany. Thank you, though. There are two options to submit either letters of reference from customers or you know, key associates, or you can submit tax documents to verify that you owned your own business. Okay, so I know that covers a lot of people. The other piece I want to comment on is that when we think about days worked, it's 7.5 hours in a day, right? To make up one full day, but we are looking for the number of days, not the hours worked. So yeah. Okay, so some additional resources and considerations. Everyone has access to an RCO, a regional certification officer, through BOCES, and we get a lot of questions about what an RCO is able to do and what they aren't able to do. So RCOs right now are not able to evaluate CTE certificate applications, but what they are able to do is to help direct folks to the information that to the proper links, make sure their forms are, you know, in order, and kind of thinking through who they could contact and being a resource in that way. But no one outside of our office at NYSED can pre-approve any experience, coursework, or credentials. It just full stop, like we can't. And we can't even say over the phone, yes, we would take that, or no, we wouldn't. We have to look at it as a complete package. We have to see the application. We have to see all of the pieces of the application together in order to make the best determination possible. So this is for my school district and BOCES administrator folks on this webinar. We get approached about creating new certificates, new CTE certificates around a particular type of program that you're thinking about building. And when you think about building the program, I want you to think about these few bullets. Is this title so specialized that I will never, or I will be unable to get another instructor for it? Sometimes we get asked to get such specific CTE titles in place that because you have a perfect person who can teach that thing right now, but you have to look at the sustainability. If that person wins the lotto, if they retire, are you going to be able to find another perfect person that fits exactly that one piece? Because Brittany touched on this earlier, the more narrowed the certificate type, they're only able to teach that particular thing. And when you build that program using that certificate type, you have to find the person to teach, to get that certificate to teach that one thing. So make sure that this is something that you can sustain in your district for an extended period of time. These new CTE programs are amazing, and we want students to learn all of these great things, but please, whenever possible, see how the crosswalk can help you find the teacher that would help you sustain that particular program. Which is number 2, right? Can you use the crosswalk? And your liaisons in the CTE office can help you navigate that as well, to tell you, yes, like these would fit here and there. So I would definitely use them as a resource to just kind of think through what that program would need. And we were asked ahead of time to briefly talk about CTLE, registration and continuing teacher and leader education requirements. So registration, I want to kind of talk this into buckets. Registration is talking about you as a educator in New York State. So registration is separate from your certificate. Registration happens every 5 years, where you go into teach and you tell teach and New York State, yes, I am still a New York State teacher working in an applicable setting, and I've fulfilled CTLE hours if necessary, or no, I'm not working as an educator in New York State anymore. So you're registering as active or inactive and answering moral character questions. That happens around your birthday. So we get a lot of calls saying, well, my certificate's expiring and it's kind of a weird date, and it has nothing to do with your actual certificate. We're not expiring your certificate. If you have a permanent or a professional certificate, it doesn't get taken away unless there's some legal issue. Your registration, however, just means that you need to go in and tell teach that you're working as a New York State educator or not. So who needs to do everybody is subject to registration, but the CTLE hour requirement is only for people who have oh my goodness, professional certification, initial and professional certification. So you have to go in and continue to do your CTLE hours. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this. Our CTLE website on the Office of Teaching Initiatives homepage has a lot of information, and we do monthly webinars too, where our CTLE folks sit down with everyone and kind of go through what the registration process looks like, what CTLE hours mean, and what counts and what doesn't. Okay, I'm going to click through. Re-registration for educators. I just kind of talked about this. Every 5 years, completing the CTLE requirement if required. I'm gonna click, yep. And then re-registration for BOCES districts, school districts and BOCES. This is a little different, and I'm happy to announce to my administrator folks that our process has changed. We soft launched the new re-registration process about 3 weeks ago, and it's going well. So we will be launching it for everyone in terms of how to submit the new PL plan information, and it's going to be really good for you guys. We just want to make sure it's perfect before we roll it out to everyone, but it's coming for sure. Okay. So note that inquiries, and I know Brittany said this in the very beginning, inquiries regarding individual candidates or requirements to become certified must be directed to the Office of Teaching. So that's the TCERT email. If you have to find specific requirements to obtain either a classroom or CTE certification, use the search certification requirements tool. Really, like, just click around, go back and forth, and really shop it. I can't express that enough, right? You're not just beholden to one particular pathway. Look at all the pathways, make the best determination, and remember that transitional certificates are transitioning you from the outside of education to becoming a teacher.
Okay, so, oh, sorry, my camera just went wonky. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today. I'm looking at the time. I'm making sure that we have time. I have been monitoring the questions in the Q&A box. We will be answering most of those questions through a Q&A. I know I had somebody ask, will the webinar recording and the resources be emailed to you? This presentation and many other helpful resources will be found on the CTE TAC webpage. So that is identified right here on this slide. I want to say thank you to our CTE TAC for hosting us today. I'm sorry, I'm simultaneously doing a quick run through the questions just to see if there are any we can answer a little bit more quickly than waiting for the Q&A. I don't see them, but we can reach out if we need to. I see your email, Greg Kerner Fox. We can address that. I don't think we have anything more at this time. Again,
Only thing I would add is just our resource page.
okay.
Sorry,
I
I
didn't know
just
if
want to
that
make
was
sure
up
we
yet,
covered that.
Brittany. I didn't know if that went up yet.
So everything that we talked about today, because it's like drinking out of a fire hose, being information overloaded. So on our program faculty page, if you go right to the career and technical education website, so go to state ed, we're underneath educational areas, CTE. In our program approval section, we have a page called program faculty. And so what we've done here is on the bottom of this page, we've got some information, we've got a video, but we have also put a document with all of the links we discussed in today's webinar. And the reason why we're hosting this on the web page instead of sending it out as a PDF is if for any reason a URL changes for any of these links, we want to be able to update that for you, because if you had this saved as a local document and one of these links changed, it would show up as a broken link when you went to click it. So we're keeping this hosted on our webpage just so it's a living, breathing document and we can update links for you and it doesn't stop working in a couple of months. So that's right at the bottom of that page. This is every link we included in the presentation today and contact information to reach out to us as well.
Thank you, Brittany. I wasn't quite sure if that was there. It was a last minute decision to put it on the page that way. But we can certainly email you a link to our CTE faculty page so that you have that. Let me just take a look here. Louise, just a quick question here. You listed 5 healthcare careers with specific requirements. Does medical assisting have requirements?
So all of the health science programs do have requirements. They all fall under directives of laws and specific laws and regulations. However, those particular 5 are the ones that require approval to operate prior to student enrollment and NISED CTE program approval.
Okay. So again, we will have resources available. We will be posting a Q&A. I want to thank everybody again for your time today and wish you all a very happy holiday weekend and an exciting return to the school year come September. Thank you.